states. That racial disparities around prosecution and conviction. Today, we begin to right these wrongs. Of course, big news from President Biden and the White House on this ongoing dilemma. There are decisions there with them. We continue on here as it's a big decision there, as you heard him lay it out as President Biden issuing an executive order, announcing an executive order, pardoning anyone with federal simple marijuana possession charges. That is certainly big news for a lot of people around the country, and we're just hearing it right now on Live Now from Fox. Again, President Joe Biden pardoning thousands of Americans convicted of that simple possession of marijuana under federal law as his administration takes a dramatic step toward decriminalizing the drug and addressing charging practices that disproportionately impact people of color. Biden's move also covers thousands convicted of crime in the District of Columbia. He's also calling on governors to issue similar pardons for those convicted of state marijuana offenses, which reflect the vast majority of marijuana possession charges. He said that in the statement, and according to the White House, no one is currently in federal prison solely for simple possession of the drug, but the pardon could help thousands overcome obstacles to renting a home or finding a job. That is certainly some very, very big news out of the White House today.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are across the world. This is big news. This is big news, and I am quite happy actually about this news. I'll be honest, I'm not always happy with things that go on, from Washington, but this long overdue. Long overdue. But as you heard, and you got to watch the caveats here, right? It is those that have been convicted on simple marijuana possession charges federally. States, anyone that's been convicted on marijuana charges in a state conviction, that is not being pardoned. It's only federal prosecutions, okay? For those that have been convicted on simple marijuana possession charges. Nobody's currently in federal prison, only on simple marijuana possession charges. But again, these pardons they go back, right? So they're actually going to go back. I believe that, from my understanding, there's over 6,000 Americans, 6,500 Americans that will benefit from these pardons. All I can say is it's probably been rough on these Americans for the last several years, right? Getting employment, housing. I bet some of these people wish this would have happened a long time ago. It is also a pretty big statement from just like a perspective of the way the world will look at us as well. The fact that it does appear in my lifetime, we have went from the whole brain being fried on marijuana. If you smoke marijuana or consume marijuana, you remember the egg commercial, right? Yeah, y'all remember that. We've went all the way from that, from Reagan's politics, and even at one point, Biden's course was pretty hardcore. His stance on this subject was pretty hardcore at one point, right? Well, still, I do think this is going to be, this is a good thing. Again, I think it's long overdue. This is something that people have been talking about for years and years and years and years and years. Also, I like the fact that they are also addressing the scheduling of marijuana and how it's scheduled, because it is classified. As my understanding, I think it's like a Class A. Falls in the same category as heroin. Marijuana is definitely not heroin. It's not manufactured. It's not created from other chemicals. It is a plant that grows from seed. my take on it is if there's plants that grow from seed, come what we now know as marijuana. Now, this doesn't mean that people should, go out and, some people admit that consuming marijuana is not a good thing for them. But also, some people say that consuming marijuana has changed their life, especially those with medical situations. Marijuana is also known to decrease seizure count in those that have epilepsy. It is known to help those fighting cancer, HIV that has turned into AIDS, full-blown AIDS. There's a lot of different reasons one may consume marijuana, whether they smoke it, whether they consume the oil. You can also get tincture oil that you can drop like in your coffee or your tea or whatnot. There's different ways that they consume it. But he's also calling, along with his federal pardon, he's also calling on states to revisit their marijuana laws. Governor Abbott, you're in a wheelchair, sir. I would have thought you, of all people, would have been a little bit lighter on marijuana and everything. I mean, you could at least stop putting people in prison who get caught with small amounts. I mean, what is a small amount? Well, I mean, listen, people have done prison for getting caught with an ounce. Some would say, hey, that's just my normal amount of smoke, right? That's just what some would say, right? It's kind of frustrating to see all of these other states that legally, even in Oklahoma and Arkansas, okay? Even in Oklahoma, medical marijuana is legal now. It's time to revisit old laws and stuff like that. I think people have been calling on their leadership to reevaluate. But see, if they reevaluate their marijuana laws, then they'll have no choice but to reevaluate those convictions that has people sitting in Texas state prisons for the rest of their motherfucking life, right? Governor Abbott, you would have to revisit all of those convictions. I mean, again, you are in a wheelchair, right? You know what I think is crazy? What I think is nuts is there's also a lot of Texas lawmakers, okay? Texas lawmakers that sit in Austin and people of their, members of their staff. I'm sure there's members of Governor Greg Abbott's staff that probably consume marijuana for a variety of reasons. I mean, Governor Abbott can't even keep the children in elementary school safe, okay? He can't even do that. Coming out here with all sorts of wrong information, right? Don't get me started. I really hope that states, specifically the ones that have just put up this iron curtain, I hope they will reevaluate. I think it's only a matter of time, to be honest. I think it's only a matter of time. Don't you get tired of these so-called leaders always trying to tell you what to do? Always trying to run your life for you? Yeah, I know that heroin's bad, okay? I won't be doing any heroin. Listen, that's my choice. I don't have anything to do with somebody else that chooses that path in their life, okay? Man, how much does a government need to be interfering in one's their private life, though? Someone smokes meth and they look like a crackhead. They believe me. The public we'll let them know that. You know. But no, I think this is I think a lot of folks will be talking about this. We'll see what happens, right? I'm out of here, y'all.